would get a better picture of a student's mastery level. We want to give the students every chance they can to show their mastery. You don't want to just sit there with multiple choices like these or just true and falses. You want it to be a big difference so that some students who don't do well at guessing or answering multiple choice questions, but they can explain it in wording what they're trying to mean, so they can do it that way to show their mastery. You want to make it efficient for all students. If you have true and false questions, you want to provide actual T's and actual F's. You don't want to just leave a blank and let them to fill it in with a T or an F. This would allow you to not have trouble interpreting poor marksmanship with T's or F's, because some T's may look like they're F's. You want to keep matchings on the same page so students don't have to flip pages to read the question and answers. By doing it this way, when they're flipping the page, they don't chance forgetting what they were reading on the last page. It's all right there on the page for them. And when you have matching, you want to keep them to 8 portions or less. You also want to highlight keywords that students might overlook. A specific number, most, least, not, best, etc. Not highlighting those, you're giving the students a chance to fail. You're not helping them. That's a common mistake a lot of students have. They misread these words and then they end up getting the problem wrong when in fact they do know the answer, but because they missed one of these words in the questions, they got it wrong. And you want to keep the test short. And you want to keep your questions of the same variety, to a minimal. You don't want to use more than 2 or 3 of similar questions. That is all it takes to judge a student's mastery. Do just enough to allow the student to show mastery, but not too many that it just becomes an endurance test. There's no reason to have 100 and 150 questions on a test, especially when 4 of those are asking the same thing but in different words. Keep those to 1 or 2 questions apiece and move on. They either know it or they don't. Just keep going with it. Now for in my science classroom, which is what I'm getting endorsed in, I don't want to just have lectures. I want to have group projects, I want to have labs, I want to give them projects that they can do and that they can learn from, and not just sit there and have me stand in front of the classroom and just speak. I want to give them a better understanding of what they need to know and understand. I don't want to just give them a test and say, read chapter 13. I want them to know what I want them to know and what that they need to know for their tests. I will give them daily assessments so that I can use those to guide how I'm going to teach for the day. If a lot of the students get a certain question wrong, I may spend more time on that question for the day, and so that they actually will understand it instead of just guessing. My exams won't all be multiple choice like a lot of them are in science classes. I'll give some fill in the blank, some matching. I'll have a nice variety so that they can have an easier chance to exam well. And I will appeal to all students' needs. This is the biggest one. I won't just focus on specific students, but I'll appeal to all of them. I will teach to every student's learning style, every student's way of learning. I will try to appeal to them to the best of my abilities. And these are my references. I have Rick Romerly's website. I've got the AMLE, which is his column that he writes for. And I have the CCSSO.